Hello and welcome to Tonalist Painting by M. Francis McCarthy. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and we're doing a study today, and the name of the study is Dusk Path. And this painting was completed fairly recently. It was done this year. Today, just for those of you that are archivists, is May 29th, 2016. And I would have to say I did this painting a couple months back, so that would have been February, most likely. Anyway, this is a study for a painting that's an 8 by 10 that, of course, we'll be getting into next week, but pretty successful and pretty happy with it. And I think it really succeeds on the areas of strong darks, and also it's quite idiosyncratic, if you don't mind me saying so. It really looks like a painting I would do, and only I would do, which is, the good thing about painting a lot is that you really do start to develop your own style, more independent of your influences. And is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's just a thing, and I've certainly I'm learning more and more to embrace the limitations that I have as an artist and as a painter, and to work within them more happily. It can be real frustrating for any artist to look at the work of someone who has achieved mastery in an area that they are interested in. They themselves also achieving mastery, and it can be quite frustrating just to look at your work and compare it. And I would definitely not encourage amateurs to do this, because it can be so demoralizing that basically it'll just keep you from working altogether. But in the case of a professional, I think it's okay. You know how to keep things in perspective. And one thing I will say about my career as a commercial illustrator that lasted 13 years is it taught me how to let things go. And some of the things you do will be, excellent. Some of the things you would do will be far less than excellent, and most of it will be at some point in between those two extremes. So when you're making money as a commercial artist, you really don't have the time or leisure to sit there and worry about it. You have to just keep rolling and keep trying to produce work that will stimulate people to buy it. And anyway, the pursuit of perfection is, something that I'm always trying to do. But you have to learn how to embrace what's individual and what's unique about what you do. This has been a real part of the process. There was a time where I was using a digital projector to, basically project the photographs that I was using as reference onto my boards prior to painting, and in the mistaken belief that this was going to be a good shortcut that was going to help me get a really good painting. And in one case or the other case, it actually was actually never really was good. What I'm actually thinking that was worked out for me was doing some gridding for some especially complex trees that I was having trouble with. But these days, I don't think I'd even bother to do that. I think I'd just hunker down and try and draw it as best as I could, and knowing that it was never going to be perfect, it was always going to be somewhat flawed, I would just continue with it and do my best. And actually this week I did that. We have something at the Quarry Arts Center called the Great Plate exhibition, which has been going for 6 years or so now. And what happens is artists in the area basically get a plate from the quarry and they do a painting on it, or some other bit of work on it, and it could be mosaic, it could be anything. And then all these plates were auctioned off to raise money for the Quarry Art Center, and it's pretty cool. I've had my issues with it, namely people snapping up my work for bargain basement prices, but I won't get into that because that has been eliminated, and that's one of the reasons I'm getting involved again this year, because it is a good cause. It's something I really believe in and support. Is the place where I have my studio, which is the Quarry Art Center in Whangarei, New Zealand. Anyway, the last plate I did a face, and I ended up selling that. I did two versions of it, one that I gave to the quarry and another I painted later for myself, and I had that hanging in my studio, and I sold it. I got my price, and first I'm very organic in the way I pursue things. I get an idea and I just kind of go with it, and I believe that's all part of the process of being an individual and letting the universe kind of work through you as well. So I had the idea that I'd like to do another face, and maybe do two versions of it again. Anyway, I've been the last one I did end up projecting the photo on the plate for my underdrawing, and it turned out well. But although I have that equipment in my studio, it's such a hassle for me to set it up and implement it that also I've just decided that whatever is different or potentially incorrect about my own drawing is just going to add to the overall effect. So a couple days ago I decided to just get out my charcoal and draw this on the plate. And my plate is, by the way, it's made out of wood. It's not ceramic. I had this made for me by a wood turner that's active there at the Quarry Art Center. Anyway, pardon me. I drew it with charcoal, and that afternoon I came back after lunch, and I thought, heck with it. I think I'm just going to jump in and do this. And I will put it up on this blog at some point. I don't have a super good photo of it, or I might have done it today. Also, I did most everything I wanted to do in that first pass. However, I do need to put just a few little touches on it, which I'll be doing next week, and I will also probably be photographing it next week as well. So maybe I'll throw that in before too long. Anyway, it came out really pretty damn good, I have to say. I'm kind of pleased and a bit surprised how a lot of what I've learned from painting landscapes is it's there, and it's translated into my painting of this face, basically of a baby on a plate. And you can tell it's a painting, but it has a certain depth and quality to it that is almost a bit daunting when you see it. You feel like it's coming off the wall, and it feels a bit alive, and it makes me feel good. Basically, I started out drawing nothing but people for the first probably 15-20 years of my... Well, I did some landscape work, but mostly it was people that I was into, and I'm, fairly accomplished with my anatomy and with getting a likeness and things, and it's not something I put to work very often, but and almost never in my commercial career did I have to do people. But I did this week, and it turned out real well, and I felt really good about the fact that it turned out well, even though I had done my drawing by hand with the charcoal, which, as I was starting to say with the landscapes, it's something that I abandoned doing in the landscapes because I just felt that I got a better result. I don't do my drawings on my landscapes with charcoal. I use a brush, but everything comes out a bit different and a bit better, to be honest. So I think on the blog post today, I won't be really getting into this too much. I'll probably be talking about the tendency some artists have to overblend. But anyway, we're at the end of this video, so thanks for joining us today. Check out my work at landscapepainter.co.nz, and be sure to come back next week. We'll have some more videos for you of the large version of this painting.